Hi, it's Only Like Matters here, and today we are planning to land the moon for the first time in our KSRSS 2.5 game. We start by acknowledging our world record and we carry on with a contract review. We have already 3 of them for sending a satellite in equatorial orbit of the moon with the magnometer boom, sending our first Kerbal in orbit, sending a Kerbal in space for 30 days. We can subscribe for 4 more to science data from space around the moon. Well, that should not be very complicated, really. We have so many missions to be sent over there. Science data on the surface of the moon. Perfect, that was today's purpose from the beginning. First moon landing with a probe craft, excellent. And we can also make a Venus flyby. It's a good contract for money, reputation and science. I cannot do it now, but nevertheless I take it. We have a little science treasure at the moment. Maybe we can ease our incoming missions or make more science with unlocking a new node. Definitely a bigger tank will help with reducing the part count, and the Terrier is one of the best engines of the game. Actually, if it provided electricity when running, I would consider it as the best of all. Not that we unlock the site experiment with this node, and you will be able to verify it's totally worth the extra expense. Then we unlock the basic science node, which provides many key features. First, the science junior device. This one will quickly provide more science points than we spent to unlock this node. A mysterious goo upgrade. It can now collect 1 more sample. We can, for instance, collect landed and space low experiments with the same device. Or first relay antenna. Well, that's interesting because we can now build a satellite network around the moon. No radio blackouts anymore. A new probe part with prograde and retrograde assists. This one will really help for landing on the moon. For now, we stop unlocking tech tree nodes and we analyze the science we can achieve, how and where. Around the Earth, we have a few experiments we have never run so far. MITE. With a probe we can make science in space for space low and space high situations, but only for bodies having an atmosphere. We can only run this experiment on the Earth at the moment. SITE can be run for any celestial body, and experiments are conducted by biomes for the high situations. It means we can run this one around the Earth and the Moon. LIGHT, a basic experiment for any celestial body for low space and high space situations. And Science Journal, of course, Material Bay, can be conducted in landed, splashed, flying low, flying high, space low, space high situations, but never by biome. If we make an array with all of these, look at what we can get. By the way, you can easily verify that the node which provided the Material Bay will be quickly refunded with the science made around the Earth. I did not put the telemetry, barometer and radiation experiments. We don't have much science left around the Earth with them. Moreover, I'm a lazy boy and not really a big fan of making flying experiments in Earth's atmosphere. They often require a plane. They take a lot of time to be performed for a few points gained, and I'm really not a plane guy at all. Now the moon. If we consider the only experiments which do not need a landing on the moon, we have around 3020 points to collect. This quick analysis shows we have many missions we can launch before getting on the moon. I assure you we are going to do this in a very digestible way, but let's start with identifying the missions that we are going to launch. And to achieve this battle plan, we need 10 launches. Note the Science Junior around the moon will be a new flying-by mission. The satellite relay around the moon can do the site experiment. The business satellite can help with building the relay around the moon. Note also that almost any mission to the moon can do the light experiment for both celestial bodies. And I will take the opportunity of the lander craft to redo the goo experiment I partly failed last time, because it will be able to collect samples for the landed situation and the flying low situation. We wait for the KSP to cross the orbital plane of the moon. This time we are trying to land the craft directly with a minimal waiting in a parking orbit. The idea is the relay is operational when other missions enter the SOI of the moon. We launched two very small and simple satellite crafts with the only relay antenna we have at this moment of the game. The sats will only rely on the fuel stored in the plug engine. They have far more deltav than needed. Due to the multiple experiments to be done per video, the rocket is launched in polar orbit. The rotating Earth will present all the biomes to the craft eventually. We will start with making our experiments in high space, then a few days later we will lower our orbit. This time we will aim for an elliptical orbit with a periapsis in low space and an apoapsis in high space. As soon as we are in space, I activate a device to collect low space samples. Then, in high space, I activate the other device. When done, we get back to Earth. Next, we sent a satellite to the moon respectfully to a contract we subscribed to. I think you get the point of sending something in low Earth orbit now, so let's move forward to space. Here is the satellite deployed. 2 relay antennas are mounted on the satellite to enforce the telecommunication network we are currently building around the moon. We plot a TLI node to get as close as possible to the target orbit. After TLI, we plot a mid-course maneuver to refine the trajectory when getting close to the moon, and we add an alarm when we will have to execute it. Before making our lunar lander, we spent a few points on the fuel system stack node. We need this stack to access fuel tank adapters, bigger fuel tanks to reduce part count, but mostly we need the external fuel duct to design rockets with the asparagus staging method. This rocket is one which will allow us to achieve our main goal for today: land a manned probe on the moon and get it back on Earth. An impressive quantity of 9,440 meters per second among 8 stages is available to do so. The TWR is pretty high, our gravity turn is very aggressive. Again, I think we've seen enough launches, so I keep only the most important sequences. From this point, all the crafts we wanted to launch are in space. I did not do any Science Junior experiment in the flying high situation, but, well, the program is already quite busy for today. We take the first craft we have in our Kerbal alarm clock list and we manage its next step. Here we warp until we execute the mid-course maneuver for the relay satellites. When done, we put a maneuver node around the moon to plan the circularization burn. Note the target orbit is elliptical because it will be a transfer orbit to build the communication network. We do exactly the same thing for our business satellite. Or Flyby Craft, and our lander craft. The next interesting step is to see how we are going to deploy our communication network around the moon. The purpose of this network is to have two satellites being on the same orbit, but in opposition to each other. If one of them is above the dark side of the moon and cannot be reached by the other one or the Earth, the business satellite we deployed will relay its signal most of the time. This relay is not perfect, but it's far better than nothing. To build the transfer orbit, I used a well-known Google sheet to help me pick the altitude of the periapsis and the apoapsis. When the apoapsis is reached for the first time, I circularize one of the sats. As my satellites have an off-center of mass, I engage a rotation while burning to minimize any deviation. When the apoapsis is reached for the second time, I circularize the remaining one. Our second satellite has been deployed, we check the COM network paths and we can verify we made a good job here. As part of our contract and to finish our communication network, we can perform the lunar capture and circularization. As our Flyby craft arrives around the moon, I realize the periapsis will be in the shadow of the moon. There is no chance we can collect all the science in low space for Science Junior experiment. I decide to make a burn to perform a lunar capture and to lower the apoapsis so that the science could be collected in daylight. When done, I plot a maneuver node to escape the moon. Finally, we are going to do what we wanted to achieve from the beginning, landing something on the moon. Capture and circularization around the moon have no secrets left to us. I quickly get through the step. We have a pretty decent amount of deltav on board. I can imagine landing somewhere, collect the science, make a little hop, land on a different biome and make additional science. But where? We have no biome map because we have not scanned anything yet. Can we guess a good place to land? Just by looking at the surface? Well, we may have something here. We have seas, which are darker areas, and we can guess the limits of them. Hey, you know what? Let's make a bet. I'm going to aim for this limit. and we have touched down without breaking anything. It's an outstanding landing. We collect the science here with our thermometers, a giga counter, the telemetry probe, and we finish with the goo and the Science Junior experiment. When finished, we take a look at the map. We were on the Mare Serenitatis, and we can hope to reach another biome. Here seems to be a good location for our next landing site, so here we go. Aha, it was a good guess. We are now in the lowlands. We can make new temperature, radiation and telemetry experiments. While best things come to an end, we have to go back home. Nothing fancy here until we splash down. Unfortunately, things went south with our Flyby craft. I made a first atmospheric braking, but at the second one the Science Junior overheated and the craft exploded. Well, we will have to go back around the moon with a better design. Before I say goodbye, let's summarize what we did today. We had objectives around the Earth and we can see we managed to get 235 points of science. Regarding the Moon, we collected 405 points. It makes a grand total of 640 points of science. In the next video, we will see how to analyze the Moon's biomes to plan a strategy for manned lunar landings. Take care and don't forget to test is the doubt.